joining us today for our live webinar. Today we are going to talk about enhancing IT service delivery with ServiceNow and ADO integration. My name is Rahul Reddy Pasnoor. I'm here as ServiceNow Solution Architect here at Royal Cyber. I'll be the speaker for today's webinar, guys. If you have any questions or have trouble hearing or viewing the screen at any point in time, please let us know from the chat window. You can also post your questions or any comments in the same window anytime during the presentation. We do have a dedicated slot to answer all your questions towards the end of the presentation. So yeah, we'll take it from there. So let's look at the agenda today, what we are going to discuss. So we're briefly going to touch about what Royal Cyber is about, what is the problem statement that we're trying to address today, and what kind of a solution that we're going to provide to overcome the problem statement. Basically a quick demo and all the benefits and lessons learned throughout our journey when we have implemented the solutions across various customers. Yeah, looks like Royal Cyber is also offering some exclusive offers for some early bird registrations. And yes, we do have a question and answer at the end of the webinar. So yeah, let's jump straight in. So as we can see, Royal Cyber as a whole has more than like 20 years of experiences in IT services. As you can see that we are spread across the global. We're situated in multiple countries. We do have more than 500 certified consultants, which is a cool thing. And also we are also technical partners with ServiceNow, also partners with Amazon and Microsoft and so on. So yeah, so we do have quite a number of certifications in our kitty, which we are proud of. With this number of experience and certifications and consultants, we did go ahead and brew some of our own homegrown applications, which we are proud of. A few of them are Monitor Pro or Secura Cloud and GoTest Pro. I just want to focus a little bit more on GoTest Pro, which is again one of our homegrown applications, which we have integrated here with ServiceNow. As you can see, this is as soon as you see GoTest Pro, you might assume this is something like ATF. It is something like ATF, but how is this different from ATF? As you can see in the presentation, it says it's definitely faster, no code, and there is some reduced maintenance times as well. The cool thing about this is we have built some pre-built automation test cases, because we know some of the regular test cases which come our way, something like incident creation or knowledge management, especially with the employee onboarding, offboarding. So yeah, this is just to touch briefly on one of our thing. Again, like I said, is this similar to ATF? The basic principality, yes, but how is it different? Looks like Royal Cyber's GoTest Pro is offering quite a bit number of added advantages when you compare it with the ATF, which is offered by ServiceNow. So apart from ATF, what other suites do we do? What other practices we have? So we have integrated ourselves and expertise into quite a number of application suites, starting with ITSM, ITOM, HR, quite a few of them. Of course, we do have some global deliverable capabilities, and also one of our main unique propositions is how we stand out from different customers or solutioning is we are mainly focused on customer-centric approach and of course cost-effective resources. Of course, we all want to save money, but at the same time we also want to keep the leverage the functionality. Just because if it's cost effective, we do not want to lose the quality. So that's where we would slowly stumble upon to our pain point, which is a cost effective. So that is the problem point which we are going to discuss today. So as we know, it's all cool when we come to ServiceNow. We're all into applications and everything, but everything in ServiceNow comes at a cost. Let's say, for example, if you would want to go ahead and have a custom table you would have to pay an extra fees for that. You would want to go ahead and assign a role. There is a license associated with it, and we all know licenses are not cheap, especially when it is an ITIL license. So these are one of the main pain points we have addressed with one of our customers, where where how do we overcome the cost-effective solution, but at the same time maintaining the efficiency and the data integrity and all the functionalities offered by ServiceNow. That is where we have stumbled upon one of our pain points, where today we are going to see how to work on a service desk ticket in ServiceNow, but at the same time with less number of licenses and a less cost effective. As we know, majority of the companies have now transformed all of their service desk to ServiceNow, where all the tickets are generated in the form of incidents, which is all cool and good. But at the same time, while the application is being transferred from, let's say, I don't know, it could be a CA service desk, or it could be some XYZ service desk application, which is now transferred into ServiceNow. But at the same time, we would also have to transfer all the service desk agents or the fulfillers too. Now, for your fulfillers and your service desk agents to work on those support tickets, you would also have to go ahead and assign ITIL licenses to them, which we all know, which do not come at a cheap price. And imagine hundreds and thousands of employees, assigning ITIL licenses would definitely be a very pain point, would cost like a hefty sum. So that's the reason. So we wanted to see how we could make sure we are working on the ticket, but at the same time, how we can overcome this price point. So there are several number of ways. There were ways like, why don't we just copy the data from the incident, and why don't we just put that in an Excel sheet or probably an Azure board, and let's track it from there. But that resulted in a very manual effort, where there are high chances of human mistakes. There is definitely no governance and there is no security. And you would need like 2 licenses. Okay, one you would need in ServiceNow, then the other one you would need in ADO. So how do we want to do this? So to overcome the problem statement, we would have to go ahead and come up with a solution where we would want the ticket data, but at the same time, not using much of the licenses. But first of all, we would want to address, why is this really a problem, or is this really a problem? So let me give you a scenario. Let's say in the daily life, we do see some incidents, people putting in tickets like, hey, looks like I lost access to my timesheet. So today I enter my timesheets in Zoho. So let's say, for example, if I have an access issue to Zoho, for some reason I'm not able to enter timesheets, I would go ahead and put in a request in ServiceNow, raising an incident, obviously saying that, hey guys, looks like my access is it's acting wonky or it's wrong. Can you guys fix it? I'm going to go ahead and raise the incident. Now the fulfiller would log into the ServiceNow using his ITIL license, would look at the incident ticket, see my issue, take the details, and then go to the Zoho and then fix it there. Once he fixes my issue in Zoho, then comes back and reports it back on the incident ticket, saying that, hey Rahul, looks like your incident is fixed. Why don't you just go ahead and check it now? So with this scenario, what we have carefully observed, ServiceNow was merely acting as a medium of passing the information to the fulfiller, where for majority of the times, fulfiller does not even have to enter into ServiceNow to actually perform the task. So for things like not just timesheet, probably there is something wrong with your laptop, or you would want to order an extra headset or an office inventory, where the actual work is supposed to be done in a different application, but ServiceNow is only being used as a medium for you to go ahead and read those tickets. So for this, just to read those tickets, even if you want to read the tickets, a fulfiller needs to have an ITIL license. Yes, like we've said, we could do this manually, or there was copying the data from incident and putting somewhere in Azure. Or probably we can download the ticket data. There is an Excel tool which will go ahead and create your Azure tasks. which also failed miserably. I mean, it comes to ROI or timing or security wise. So how do we do it? That is where we have stumbled upon a solution. How do we go ahead and automate it, where we would want the same data to live in Azure ADO board, where the exact ticket is being copied from incident and taken over to the Azure ADO board. So what we're trying to do here is whenever there is a ticket created in ServiceNow, let's say for example, an incident is created, exact same details would be then passed over onto the Azure ADO side. Once the ticket is completed, it can be closed either from ServiceNow side or an Azure side, like a bi-directional thing. Let's say, for example, an instance created, the details are passed out to Azure ADO. Now the fulfiller go ahead and works on Azure ADO. He's still able to perform his day-to-day activities without logging into ServiceNow, which is hugely cutting our license cost. But yes, they would have to log into Azure ADO. But comparatively to Azure ADO versus ServiceNow, it would almost be, I wouldn't say nothing, but almost to nothing when you have to subscribe for Azure ADO versus ServiceNow for the ticketing purpose at least. So this would help us in cutting down the license cost, where you're still able to perform your actions. Once your action is completed, you would go ahead and close the ticket in ServiceNow. It would close the ticket in Azure ADO, or vice versa. You can do it either way. Either you could update your ticket in Azure ADO, it would automatically close the ticket in ServiceNow. This eliminates the fulfiller or the service desk agent, for they do not have to switch between the applications. The data is still seemingly integrating towards the Azure ADO, and fulfiller is still able to do all his work just like an ITIL licensed person would do. With this scenario, probably you would need very few licenses, maybe for a few managers or supervisors, just to overlook on what's happening with the incidents. And that would be the only scenario. That's how we have recently implemented a solution. So probably you would, in ideal situation, if there is no integration and service desk agents are doing, you might need thousands of IT licenses, but we have cut it down to like hundreds, and only few of them, the actual fulfillers, are working on the ADO side, and the program managers or supervisor are only overlooking to it. So this is one of our main specific point which we are going to address today, is incident integration with Azure ADO board as a ticket. But if I keep saying incident, don't think that this is just restricted to incident. We can also expand its capabilities towards problem, change, or service portal, or any specific SE task, RATM for a workflow, or any custom table or any custom record can be integrated from ServiceNow to Azure ADO. So I'll give you another quick example. We recently implemented a solution where a customer wanted us to go ahead and create a task in Azure ADO board. At the same time, as soon as it gets created, it should go and tag itself to its parent. As the workflow progresses, the task is supposed to go to different states, like new, in progress, close, complete, resolved states. Again, I'm talking in terms of Azure terminology, which would be to do, doing, work completed. So it should switch different swim lanes. It should switch different Azure boards. It should switch different Azure projects. All this is happening while the workflow is progressing. So like I said, it's not just restricted to incident or problem, guys. You can also embed this REST integration into a workflow based solution as well, or a flow designer for that matter. So it's quite flexible. This is another great example I would like to give you. Again, we have implemented this with one of our customers, where whenever there is a dashboard generated, we want to transform the data and integrate towards a Power BI dashboard, where you can map all the details from the snow report, and the data is now available analytically in your Power BI dashboard. So this is another quick example. Apart from just transferring data from one to another, we are also transforming our analytical data from ServiceNow to Power BI dashboard or any other reporting dashboard you might be using, as long as it is having REST integration capabilities. So these were one of the pain points what we have addressed with one of our customers, and we have come up with these solutions, which seems to be working pretty well, as we have implemented a bidirectional integration where the data could be flowing seamlessly between one team, one application to another application, cutting down manual efforts, cutting down license cost, and there is security. We would talk more about security in the next few slides, and of course there is governance which comes into play. While we have implemented all these solutions, we did have some lessons learned. So what are those lessons learned? We would discuss in the further slide. But before that, let me show you the actual how image wise it would look. So as we're all aware, this is an incident form in ServiceNow. This is how it would look. So once, if see, this is just for a demo purpose, we've just created a random incident. So we've created an incident here. As you can see, this incident has been created saying that, hey, I need to enter my timesheets, and it has been submitted. As soon as it gets submitted, you can see there is a create ADO UI action button, which is now visible. So you can go ahead and click on that button. Now, once you click on that button, what would happen is we would now see all the fields like numbers, short descriptions, and description being mapped onto the actual Azure ADO test. As you can see, we have taken the number here 10020 and the short description, and we have put that as a title here. That's the one. And let me just go ahead and open. So this is how it would look once you open. So this is the title of the user story. It is assigned to me, and I'm just giving this sort of a brief how it would look once you have integrated and start working on it. So here we have done based on a UI action based, but so you can only integrate incidents based on your choice. Like we mentioned before, majority of the incidents fulfillers does not need access into ServiceNow. Yes, there might be few instances where fulfiller have to log into ServiceNow. At that point of time, you do not have to click this UI action. So these can be modified and configured the way customer needs it. As soon as there are few scenarios where customers came up, no, we want to go ahead and create an Azure story as soon as an incident is created. That was one of the needs. The other one would be, no, we would only want to go ahead and create them once we tell it to create them. So that would be this kind of a scenario, guys. So yep, this is the Azure ADO dashboard where it would go ahead and create the story. So here we are actually creating an issue, not a story actually. And as you can see, the description has been mapped here from the incident, and this is the title. Having said that, now let's quickly, as we have seen as a graphical image presentation, let me go ahead and quickly show a quick example how it would actually work. So let me go and show you a quick demo, guys. As you can see, looks like there is an issue created already for a login issue. It's good. Let us go ahead and create another incident. As you're all aware of this environment, I believe it's all familiar to everyone. This is our mighty ServiceNow. So now let me go ahead and create an incident and see how it transforms into one of the issues on the Azure ADO board side. Let me just pick up someone random here. And let me say access issue. Probably I'll put in some blend. My issue is regarding timesheet, not able to access Zoho. This is something like this is what we get tickets as. Again, this is just for a demo purpose, guys. So I'm just going to go ahead and submit this ticket. Why, upon submitting, you can now see there is a UI action called create ADO. Okay, so looks like there's only one story at this point. Let me go ahead and create one, and we'll see what happens on the Azure ADO board. You can see this field external ticket number has now been popped up with a ticket number called 857. That would be our ticket number in Azure too. So as you can see here, it has been created in the Azure ADO side with the title, with the number, and with the access issue. So looking at that, we know, okay, looks like there is an incident with related to access issue. We would now go ahead and assign this to a group. Let's assign to Royal Cyber. Why not? So once we assign this to a group, we have what I've made sure is once a group is assigned, we have mapped it to one of the tags in the Azure ADO board. So it would show up as, okay, looks like, looking at this, a fulfiller or the manager would easily be able to recognize, looks like this ticket belongs to Royal Cyber assignment group. Okay. Now what we want to do is, once it is assigned to Royal Cyber group, we would now want to go ahead and assign to a fulfiller. Why not? Let's do this. Let's go ahead and save this once again. As soon as I save this, it's automatically, the ticket has now moved to in progress and is assigned to this one. Now when we come to the Azure side, as we can see, the ticket has now moved over to the doing column because it's now being actively worked on. And let me just go ahead and quickly open it, and we see this is now, as we can see, all the details here. It has been assigned, it's moved to the state doing, and the description has also been mapped, guys. We can map n number of things from incident, either it could be priority, urgency, all the fields what you see here can be mapped onto the incident. So for now, for demo purpose, I will be only showing you a unidirectional side, which is working from ServiceNow to the Azure, but this is definitely capable of bidirectional integration as well. Let's say, for example, once the Zoho issue has been addressed, people can come here, the fulfiller can come here and just click on done, wherein the ServiceNow ticket would automatically change its state to closed or resolved. However, whatever kind of mapping, we would want to go ahead and put in it. So this is one of the features what we have done. So let's just close the ticket now. Let's see what happens. So once everything is done, why don't we just go ahead and now close the ticket. So when we close the ticket, I just want to show you. So it's resolved by solution has been provided, access has been granted. Okay, I'll go ahead and save this. You can see how it smartly changed its swim lane from doing to done. So here there are a number of things is what we can do. Let's say, for example, we've seen as soon as an assignment group is assigned Royal Cyber, we can change the board, we can change the project, we can change the swim lanes. So based on our needs, we can do n number of different things. Either it should be in this column, it should be in this board, on this specific project. All sort of things can be performed once the account has proper permissions from Azure. So yes, today, like I said, we are seeing a unidirectional integration, but at the same time, guys, if you go ahead and access the Azure ticket, and if you close the ticket again, close the ticket here, it would go back and automatically close the ticket inside ServiceNow. For a demo purpose, we're only showing you limited functionality of it, guys, but we do have a bidirectional capability of this one. Again, this is not just restricted to incident. This can be flexible and applied towards a workflow or a flow designer or any custom table for that matter. So that was our quick demo. Let's just go back to the slide. So we have implemented these solutions with a few of our customers. While we have implemented this solution, while we have implemented these solutions, guys, so we as developers, as Royal Cybers, we have learned our own lessons we have identified what can be done better, what needs to be done. So there were few lessons learned ourselves. But before the lessons learned, let's look at some benefits what we have made available for the customer. Is one of them was reduce license cost. That is one of the pain points which we've been talking from the beginning, is license cost. Increase in productivity. Now the user does not have to log into ServiceNow and switch between different applications. They can just get it done with all the same data and get the work done and close the ticket in Azure DevOps. It would still take care of what's happening in ServiceNow. Definitely improved SLA for sure, because once this solution was implemented, SLAs, breaching SLAs came down to a very, very impressionable number, I would say. But what did it prove when it comes to cost? So we've implemented this at least more than a 15 member team people, where the cost have come down drastically. As we can see what it was before integration versus after integration, the average prices, we could definitely see some 90% of savings while this integration is done. Integration was done. So this was a 10-member team. So what were the best practices? Now, while we have done these integrations, we have also made sure what kind of best practices we have made sure we are applying them. We have to use valid authorized APIs. Definitely, they should be certified to be use authorized APIs. We always encourage our developers to use service accounts and not just any accounts to make integrations, or whenever there is a handshake between two different applications. We always want to make sure a proper service account is used. Implement appropriate error handling is one of the biggest lessons we've learned. So through these integrations, through these REST messages, of course, there were a lot of errors happening once this solution was implemented, but we just did not wanted to see a 401 or a 500 internal server error. We wanted proper notifications. We wanted proper, alert systems for a group or an individual. So we have set up an error handling as well. Modular and the way our coding and scripting has been implemented is, again, it's not just restricted to a specific case scenario. The way we have used our functions or our coding methods is it can be expandable with a least complex mode. So the code is written in such a way it can be easily leveraged for a next enhancement. That is one of our elite implementations, I would say, where we stand out, where we don't have to go from the scratch, or we could just start from there itself. Of course, using OAuth authentication, not just using any basic authentication or just like a username password. We always make sure we're using OAuth authentication, which is one of the most secure. Yeah, so these are one of the best practices here. We make sure at Royal Cyber we implement when these kind of scenarios or any integration issues come up. Lessons learned. Sorry, I jumped a little earlier, but yeah. So lessons learned, where one of the pain points were error handling, where we, like I have mentioned, where we just didn't wanted to go ahead and give out random numbers like 401 or 500 or whatever it was. So we wanted to give proper notifications saying that username and password looks like the password does not match. Your integration is failing because of there is a data discrepancy. So we have worded our errors also in such a way when someone with no knowledge of integration is looking at it would know exactly where the issue is. And these can be embedded into our workflows and flow designers as well. Data and field mapping is one of another biggest lessons learned, because while we were doing these integrations, as we all know, let's say, for example, in incident, the states are different versus the states in Azure ADO. In incident, there would be something like, new, in progress, work in progress, and in Azure, it's like to do, doing. We have also made sure the data is mapped accordingly, and so we also make sure that data sanctity of variables and existing values will not be changed. Like, for example, I mentioned new in incident will be new in incident. It will be remain the same, but it would translate to do in Azure. So that is one of the data and field mapping also, where we have made sure we keep that intact. So that is also one of our biggest pain points, where we have stumbled upon and make sure we get that across properly. So yes, guys. So these were all this is from right from top to bottom. I just have to run a quick rundown on what we have seen today. We have recognized a problem of cost cutting when it comes to licenses. We have found a solution, and not just a solution, but what are the best ways to implement them solutions. And after implementing it, are we really getting the results we want? Yes, when we look at the ROIs, and how could we improve ourselves? We always take our lessons learned after we have implemented our solutions across the customers, and we see how better we can enhance this for them in the future, or for any other customers. So yeah, this is one of our pain points is what we have addressed, and we have seen a drastic improvement of either when it comes to cost or in SLAs and related information with tickets. So with this, guys, this was the journey what we have went through, and yeah. So if anybody looks like Royal Cyber is also giving us some exclusive offers, guys. If you like what we have presented today, we have like 2 exclusive offers for today's webinar attendees, or if you are an early bird registration, we can definitely perform a complimentary assessment for your integration requirements. We also implement integration for one use case of any of your choice. I'm sure we will be able to do some discounted prices if there are any early bird registrations. And yes, if any of you are interested in what you have seen in a bidirectional integration, what we have seen so far, please reach out to info@royalcyber.com, and we would definitely reach out to you. And I know probably this demo was probably a very quick one, a very brief one. We can definitely walk through more in a detailed and a technical manner and show you exactly, what can be achieved and what kind of configurations and modifications can be done based on the needs. So yeah, so that brings to end of our demo, guys. So if you guys have any questions, please go ahead and shoot them in our chat window. I would be glad to go ahead and address them. Okay, looks like we have some questions coming our way, guys. It's like, what kind of authentication was used? Here we have used an OAuth authentication. I see. Do we need any plugin for this? No, we do not need any kind of plugin for this, guys. So this is a completely custom built solution. So this was developed completely in Royal Cyber's environment. So we do not need any plugins for this. Oh, can we also create a parent-child relationships for tasks and use? Absolutely. So I was just mentioning in one of our examples where through a workflow you can create a task or a user story, and you can tag it to the parent. And yes, and let's say, for example, there is a similar user story and want to go ahead and tag it to the same parent, that can also be done. Yep, absolutely. Can the tasks be created on any board, any iteration path? Oh, okay. Yeah, so tasks, like, yes, tasks can be built on any board or any iteration path or any project inside Azure DevOps, as long as, you know, service account has permissions from Azure. Absolutely. Can this be built on any custom table? Yes, absolutely. This can be built on, again, like I mentioned, this can be built on any custom table or any custom record inside ServiceNow, as long as the service accounts have permissions and proper ACLs. Yes, we can definitely have that. So again, we have a question saying that, can we implement this in personal PDI? In person developer instance, you can, but there you will definitely face a lot of blockers because of licensing issues, because of the integration. So if you would want to go ahead and talk to Azure, you would need some more than a PDI capable instance, guys. So there is another question saying that, can we use on non-ITSM Pro version of ServiceNow? So when you say non-ITSM Pro version of ServiceNow, I'm assuming you do not want to, probably not the incident side or not the problem side. Yes, absolutely. Like I mentioned, this is a custom solution which can be leveraged with any custom record. So it doesn't have to be an ITSM module itself, which comes under like incident problem change. This REST integration can be used on any custom table. Let's say, for example, you have a random table where you would, as soon as you create a record, you would want the same details to appear on Azure ADO board. Yes, absolutely, it can be done. And on the workflow itself. So yes, that is also one of the cool features which can be done. Correct. Do you also do integrations with change management module? It is possible to do integration with change management module, but I would assume until to what extent is what you would see, because I know change itself is a whole cycle in it. So let's say, for example, if you want to see your user story created with the exact change details, and just like the change goes towards different transformations, like, either it would go to a different states, or either it would go to different cabs meetings. Through that flow, if you would also want your task to flow over different boards and different groups and different projects inside Azure ADO board, if that is what you're asking, yes, absolutely, we can do that. So yeah, there's another quick question. Also for documentation, how can an incident be resolved by a non-ITIL user, or would you create one user to use for all of them? Yes. So that one user here, Robert, would be the service account, which would act on behalf of you, which would read the details of incident and map it toward the Azure ADO board, where you would not need an ITIL license for you to go ahead and work, because you are not logging into ServiceNow to start with. You were always looking at the ticket details inside the Azure radio board, working on the Azure radio board. You're closing your ticket on the Azure radio board. So you're never even entering the ServiceNow. If it's using one last questions, guys, I would say if it's using a REST API call, do this transaction count towards the integration hub transaction? So we're not using any integration hub here, Roberts. I know where you're going with this. Probably, do we need a license for integration hub? No, we do not need any integration hub licenses because this is not counting towards integration hub, as this is not a plugin which we have built on. This is a completely customized solution built from like scratch. I believe I have, yep, I believe that's the only questions I have, guys. I have like a few more. If you want to shoot a few more questions, I'm good to go on that. We can just, let's give a minute or so if there are any questions coming our way. Okay. Yep. Thank you, guys. Thank you for attending our webinar. I hope you guys liked it. Like I have said, if you guys like what we have shown you, please reach out to us, info@royalcyber.com, and our team would get in touch with you and explain the integration or the next steps, what the case scenarios, or the initial assessment in much detail. Yep. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.